I'm with my game, yeah. Family friendly. I play the game, yeah. And touch the melody.
Get your exclusive Ecomi, VeVe, and Omi merch at CavellAnderson.com. Limited edition 100 items drop while supplies last.
We pass the moon, yo. You gon' keep winning. Red dreams come true. For me and you. Ecomi did it, yeah. With the crew.
Yo, what is going on, y'all? I'm Cavell Anderson, and we are back with another video here. And this one is one that I think that some people may need to see. So if you are interested in taking your investment serious, making profits and things like that, while I don't give financial advice, and this isn't financial advice, what I like to do is look towards people smarter than me when and really just understanding how the rich think, the people who are successful. Because right now you see a bunch of scared people running around taking out investments and stuff like that, and you see people making a lot of poor decisions. So I can see this stuff in real life. More than likely, you're not in an investment community, so you can see the same stuff that you was probably born into seeing all around you. You want to see better habits. You want to see conviction. You want to see true understanding of your investments, where it's going, why things have some setbacks sometimes. You probably want to fully understand what's going on. And that's the exact same way that I am. So someone actually sent me this video. Shout out to you who sent me this on Twitter. And yeah, it's going to show some of the greatest minds in the world and their thoughts on diversification, which is something that's going on right now. People are selling out of their positions. People are taking profits and putting it other places and things like that because they're losing their conviction. It's easier to just, okay, I don't know if this is going where I'm going. Let me take this out and put it somewhere else just in case. And I mean, hey, that's how some people do. Like, if you don't do enough research and you don't fully understand your investment well enough, it leads to that. That's what it leads to. This is why you have to do your own research, have your convictions. Otherwise, you'll flip flop. You'll sway with the wind. So yeah, that being said, let's just jump straight into it. And so you all can hear some of these great minds and what they think about diversification. And yeah, like this is what the rich think. So I would just put that out there. Not financial advice.
We like to put a lot of money in things that we feel strongly about. And that gets back to the diversification question. You know, we think diversification is, as practiced generally, makes very little sense for anyone that knows what they're doing. Diversification is a protection.
Diversification makes very little sense for anyone who knows what they're doing. Like, you really got to think about that. You really have to take the time to think about that, because a lot of people don't want to. A lot of people like, oh, you too scared. Can you really stand on what you believe? I know that anyone can get up here and make VeVe and Ecomi videos every single day. And this is not to talk bad about anyone at all. It's a fact. Anyone can everybody has a mouth. Anyone can get on here and talk. But do you actually understand the project the way that you need to, the way that you should? Because I mean, your investment decisions and habits that displays that it speaks volumes. Like, it really speaks volumes, the things that you do. Not just what you say, what you do.
It makes very little sense for anyone that knows what they're doing. Diversification is a protection against ignorance. I mean, if you want to make sure that nothing bad happens to you relative to the market, you own everything. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that is a perfectly sound approach for somebody who does not feel they know how to analyze businesses.
Diversification, that's for idiots, right? Because you can't diversify enough to know what you're doing.
I don't believe in diversification at all. I would own one stock if I could find one great stock.
I would own one stock if I could find one great stock. And people have found a great NFT project, a great token, and people are doubting it because it's easier to sit here and spread hate and FUD about the Omi token than it is to research it, really understand it, and understand what's possible. Also, look past all the FUD of these technical analysis guys saying, oh, this is only possible. Then somebody pull up a spreadsheet, show you a bunch of numbers that relates back to nothing because they don't have all the numbers. So people are sitting here falling for people who look smart out here just pointing out random numbers that the VeVeverse is not here. We don't know what other businesses the Omi token will be tied to. We don't know all of these numbers, yet people are sitting here calculating. And then you have people saying, you know what? That's spot on. You making shit up right now, but that is spot on. It's like, what? But listen, I can't give anyone else my convictions. You have to see this stuff for yourself. You have to understand this. I'm okay looking crazy. I'm okay with people because that means that the masses, if the masses are looking at me thinking I'm crazy, look at how the masses look at every genius. So not even to say that I'm a genius. I don't feel that way about myself. But the fact is, if I'm on the side of the masses, I'm probably on the wrong side. I mean, look at history. Look at history. If you're on the side of the masses seem to make dumbass decisions. So I'm okay being an outcast because I should have outcast results. I should have one like the results very few have. Like that's what.
Can't diversify enough to know what you're doing.
I don't believe in diversification at all. I would own one stock if I could find one great stock. Diversification is a big mistake. I call it diversification.
Hey, I'm Stephen and this is Solving the Money Problem. If you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. So this video is about investing and diversification. I've been meaning to make this video.
I would own one stock if I could find one great stock. Diversification is a big mistake. I call it diversification. You buy this thing that might balance this other thing and they both go down. My God, I got enough questions. I got enough questions to come at your 5th annual conference here. My God, I think we have enough conference. Thank you very much.
Yo, that is hilarious. Like you buy something to diversify and they both go down. That is what happens. Like if you're not confident enough in one investment, you're going to be confident in another. Like it's like you can just lose twice. You can really lose twice. If you're not confident in one, it means you make bad decisions more than likely. And so you probably are going to go to a different one and be just as uneducated on that one. It really does make very little sense if you take the time to think about it. Like, but hey, it is what it is. Everybody got their own strategy. If your own strategy is just gambling, go for it.
Balance this other thing and they both go down. My God, I got enough questions. I got enough questions to come at your 5th annual conference here. My God, I think we have enough conference. Thank you very much. Oh, that's a pretty big one. So I don't believe in diversification at all. I would own one stock. But what I do believe in is if I find 10 good stories, they're all equally attractive, I buy all 10. And I wait to see them unfold. It's like watching 10 poker games. 10 games of stud poker. You watch the cards turn over, story 3 gets better, story 6 slips, story 7 stays the same but it goes up 50%, so you sell 7 and buy 2. That's all I do. So if they're equally attractive, I buy all 10. Then gradually some story says, oh my God, this is getting better and better, and guess what? The stock just went down. So you keep watching 10 stories and magically, because of that rule of stocks going up and down a lot, then you load up. You really take a big advantage. So that either happens because something happens to the company or the market goes down and all stocks go down.
And so this is one thing that I think a lot of the haters would say, like the bearish mindset. People will say, oh, I've been watching the market doing a bull run. First off, all these other cryptos and stuff are going up because we're in the middle of a bull run. But that being said, a lot of people will say, oh, but VeVe, the Omi token, hasn't really done much. It isn't that impressive. It's gone down. It's looked like the worst performer. But in reality, people haven't checked back how high this token has actually mooned. This has gone up. Like I think it's gone up more than anything in crypto right now, percentage wise. So yeah, like people don't actually do the research on that to realize how high up this token has gone. Then you have some people using how high it's gone as a reason for why it will not continue to go higher, when that makes logically no sense, because they've barely released any real features. They haven't released any utility, released anything, which means what you're saying is because it's gone up so much, all these other catalysts don't matter. It's going to like stay the same or go down no matter how many catalysts they release, which is completely illogical. So all around the board, you have people out here making the dumbest predictions, and then you have a group of people like, oh, that's realistic. I definitely agree with that. I think that's spot on, when all of it makes no sense. Listen, it's just how it is. Like, we haven't seen a lot yet. We don't know what type of, all we know is the team's work ethic, and we know that they spent this year focusing on VeVe. That was not the goal, that was not intended, but they grew way faster than they thought they would. So they had to spend this year focused on VeVe. Now they're jumping into the token. They're just now diving in. And we saw what they did with VeVe. Yet people are stupid enough to doubt what they're going to do with the Omi token, as if they don't hold a large chunk of that token. It's just, don't think like the majority. The majority thinks stupid. That's just the nicest way I can put it. Don't do it.
We just heard from Peter Lynch, one of the greatest investors of all time, In a 13-year period while managing the Magellan Fund, he saw annualized returns of almost 30%. Absolutely insane. And Peter's opening statements there, if he could just find one great stock, he'd be comfortable owning that stock. Well, I completely, wholeheartedly agree with Peter on that front. And I put my money where my mouth is. Those of you who've been watching the channel for a while will know I'm all in on Tesla stock. Over 95% of my stock portfolio by value is in one stock, Tesla. In fact, my level of conviction with Tesla stock became so great that I literally started this channel to try to explain to everybody why I saw so much incredible potential in Tesla stock and why for the past 1,772 days, Tesla stock is practically the only asset I've invested my cash into. Yeah, literally. Now, some will call me lucky. Others will call me right. You can make up your own mind.
We like to put a lot of money in things that we feel strongly about. And that gets back to the diversification question. We think diversification is, as practiced generally, makes very little sense for anyone that knows what they're doing. Diversification is a protection against ignorance. I mean, if you want to make sure that nothing bad happens to you relative to the market, you own everything. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that is a perfectly sound approach for somebody who does not feel they know how to analyze businesses.
I just want to take a pause here. I wholeheartedly agree with Warren Buffett's points here. 1, diversification is protection against ignorance. And 2, most stock investors are actually incredibly ignorant, and it's probably a good strategy for most investors out there because we know most investors end up losing money because they do not know what the fuck they are doing.
And we're seeing this in the Omi community. We're seeing this right now with VeVe and Ecomi, and it's a ever repeating cycle. So the thing is, you can be among the idiots who are showing that they have no idea what they're doing, and you can be among the YouTubers doing math, doing all this stuff. Like, people are sitting here doing math, trying to do calculations and stuff like that, and it's proven the majority of people don't know what they're talking about. You can't. People, the second that someone starts to calculate something that they don't have information for, is the second that I'd be worried. My approach is very simple. The team says that they're going to do something. I trust this team. I believe in this team based on their history and based on all the research that I've done about them. So I believe that it's going to come. And when this comes, this is going to be impactful. This is very common sense. This is something that anyone can understand. Yet more so than understand, like more so than having the approach where, okay, I believe in the people. I believe that these people will deliver. Even if it's not on time, I believe that they will deliver. So that people think that my approach is illogical, while at the same time saying somebody's just completely creating random numbers, popping a number in, seeing if it works. They somehow find that to be very logical and very realistic. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, the mindset. Like, people are backwards investors. People are backwards investors, and you don't want to be a part of that crew.
If you know how to analyze businesses and value businesses, it's crazy to own 50 stocks or 40 stocks or 30 stocks probably, because there aren't that many wonderful businesses that are understandable to a single human being in all likelihood, and to have some super wonderful business and then put money in number 30 or 35 on your list of attractiveness and forego putting more money into number 1 just strikes Charlie and me as madness.
Once again, Warren Buffett is singing my song. As I mentioned, for the past half decade, the best investment opportunity I was aware of, that doesn't mean there weren't other opportunities out there, but the best investment opportunity I was aware of and had a high level of conviction in was Tesla stock. And as we know, that worked out okay. Now, don't get me wrong. If I had identified an equivalent opportunity to Tesla stock, I thought, you know what, the risk reward's comparable, I have the same level of conviction, I would happily have invested in that as well. But I didn't, so I didn't.
And just based off of what he just said, it makes me think about these people who see something like Recur pop up and they're like, should I put a little bit of money in that as well? Like, it shows that you don't understand. Like, you don't understand VeVe or why you invested in the Omi token. Because the second you see a slight slither of license somewhere else, you're ready to jump ship. You're ready to diversify and put a little bit of money here just in case. It's like, is license the only selling point that you see with this project? Because if that's the case, it also understands why a lot of people can't see my predictions and things like that as well. Because it's not just about the licensing. It's really not. It's about the team behind it, the team that's come together, and then the company this team keeps. They have a Hall of Famer. They have the current holder of Pokemon, Fortnite IP. Like they literally, this is their circle. Their inner circle right now are some of the most powerful IP guys in the world. And then you have Dan, who has just proven that he could take a project built for 65,000 people, and he's good enough to make it fit millions in a matter of just a couple of months. They got caught off guard. 65,000 people store. It's 2 million people outside that door. He got that working that quick. It's ridiculous. Like this is the stuff that people need to be paying attention to when it comes down to your investment. What other team could do that? Because I don't care if Wax can handle 8 million people if they were designing from the beginning to handle 8 million people. What would have happened if they were designing to handle 8 million people and then 20 or 30 million people popped up? Would they have still been able to deliver at that point? Because that's something that's not proven. That's something that we don't know. We know, we've seen Ecomi and VeVe go from 65,000 user ready to handling 2 million. We've seen that. We've seen them revolutionize what's going on. We've seen them simplify the NFT space. We've seen this with our own eyes. So, yeah.
Pretty simple.
And it's conventional practice, and it may, you know, if all you have to achieve is average, it may preserve your job, but it's a confession in our view that you don't really understand the businesses that you own.
I love how the rich and successful think, man, because this is the same way that I see things, yo. And it lets me know that I'm on the right track, drawing the same conclusions, because I don't sit around and just watch stuff like this all day, to be honest with you. I'm too busy working towards what I'm going for. But like what other people see as, oh, this is perfect, this is spot on, I see it as a confession that you don't know what you're talking about. Like what's crazy is when someone sit here and explain something logical to you, people will see that as they don't know what they're talking about. It's absolutely ridiculous. But hey,
it may preserve your job, but it's a confession in our view that you don't really understand the businesses that you own. You know, on a personal portfolio basis, you know, I own one stock, you know, but it's a business I know, and it leaves me very comfortable. So, you know, do I need to own 28 stocks in order to, you know, have proper diversification? You know, it'd be nonsense. And within Berkshire, I could pick out 3 of our businesses, and I would be very happy if they were the only businesses we owned and I had all my money in Berkshire. Now, I love it, the fact that we can find more than that and that we keep adding to it. But 3 wonderful businesses is more than you need in this life to do very well. And the average person isn't going to run into that. I mean, if you look at how the fortunes were built in this country, they weren't built out of a portfolio of 50 companies. They were built by someone who identified with a wonderful business. Coca-Cola is a great example. A lot of fortunes have been built on that. And there aren't 50 Coca-Colas. You know, there aren't 20. If there were, it'd be fine. We could all go out and diversify like crazy among that group.
And look, listen to what he's saying. Like, this should be resonating with people right now. This should really be resonating, because there's literally one VeVe, there's one Ecomi, there's one company using their tech to bridge the gap and make it easier for mass adoption to come to the NFT space and the crypto space. It's only one company doing this. Yeah, Recur has popped up, got a little bit of IP, but what VeVe is doing and working towards is so much bigger. Like I was just listening to somebody, I think it was a YouTuber in the community, they were talking about how VeVe is literally building out Ready Player One before our eyes. You look at VeVe, and what do we have on VeVe? Look at what the star character was driving in Ready Player One. He was driving the DeLorean. Then there was the Ecto One that he was racing. What's the 2 vehicles? What do we have on VeVe right now? Ecto One, the DeLorean. Like, literally, they're literally before our eyes putting the pieces in place to do what they said. They said they wanted to build Ready Player One, and they are already putting the pieces into play. And people can't see that. People are so scared and caught up in their own self-doubt that they're not seeing the big picture, that they're already doing what they said they were going to do. This whole time you've been looking right past it. You've been looking right past it this whole time because of your fear. This is why you have to lose the fear. This is why you have to stop letting morons in comment sections get to you. You can't let them get to you. You can't let them get in your head, because that's what's going to prevent you from making money. That's what prevents most people from making money. If I would have listened to my family and never dropped out of high school, that would have been the worst decision of my life. If I would have stayed in school, forced myself to be there learning absolutely nothing, I would be a moron. And I'm proud to say that I don't feel like I am that. So, I mean, while I know a lot of haters would disagree, it is what it is.
And get results that would be equal to owning the really wonderful one, but you're not going to find it. And the truth is, you don't need it. I mean, if you have a really wonderful business, is very well protected against the vicissitudes of the economy over time and the competition. I mean, you know, we're talking about business
protected against the economy over time. What does that? The conclusion that I drew about the Omi token is that it can be bear market proof at best, bear market resistance at worst. Then you have a bunch of people saying nothing is bear market proof. And I mean, I get it. I get the fear, and you've seen certain things. Like, I get it, but do you get it? It's like people are not looking at the big picture. Like, and I draw so many parallels when I listen to people who actually know what they're talking about, that it's incredible. That's why I love watching stuff like this.
Is very well protected against the vicissitudes of the economy over time and the competition. I mean, you know, we're talking about businesses that are resistant to effective competition, and 3 of those will be better than 100 average businesses, and they'll be safer, incidentally. I mean, there is less risk in owning 3 easy to identify wonderful businesses than there is in owning 50 well-known big businesses. And it's amazing what has been taught over the years in finance classes about that. But I can assure you that I would rather pick, if I had to bet the next 30 years on the fortunes of my family that would be dependent upon the income from a given group of businesses, I would rather pick 3 businesses from those we own than own a diversified group of 50. Charlie?
Yeah, what he's saying is that much of what is taught in modern corporate finance courses is twaddle.
So as you can see, people who are in finance and finance specialists don't even know what they're doing. They're taught to do all this math. They're taught to look at all these things, and they're taught to basically try and predict where something's going. Nobody can predict the market, but people are not smart enough to know this. So when someone looks like they know what they're talking about, looks like they're putting numbers together, and you can make it make sense in your mind, because visual, if something's visual, like somebody can sit here and add stuff up before your eyes, it's more believable. But when I see that, I'm like, okay, where'd you get that number from? You're full of shit. And it's just, and then I'm like, oh, you're not factoring in like 30 other possible numbers. You're not factoring in multiple other different businesses that's going to be burning from the token. Like, you're not factoring in anything. You have no real information, yet you can make sense of sitting here trying to calculate it. How? But hey.
You want to elaborate on that, Charlie?
You cannot believe this stuff. I mean, it's modern portfolio theory, and yeah,
it has no utility. But I mean, you know, it will tell you how to do average. But you know, I think anybody can figure out how to do average in 5th grade. I mean, it's just not that difficult. And it's elaborate, and you know, there's lots of little Greek letters and all kinds of things to make you feel that you're in the big leagues. But there is no value added.
I have great difficulty with it because I am something of a student of dementia, and I have.
We hang around a lot together.
And I can ordinarily classify dementia, you know, on some theory structure of models, but the modern portfolio theory, it involves a type of dementia I just can't even classify. No. Something very strange is going on.
Yeah. If you find 3 wonderful businesses in your life, you'll get very rich.
So the message there from Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger is fairly simple. Diversification is for idiots. Now, there's plenty of idiots out there in which diversification is a good strategy, but I am arrogant enough to think that I'm not an idiot. I do have the track record to back that up. So far, my investment track record is home run after home run after home run after home run.
Looks like we got something in common. Looks like we got something in common. Now, even though I always choose winners, historically I always choose winners, I have not always had the knowledge of knowing how to behave when I have a winner. So when I saw Netflix going down, that's why I sold instead of doing what I should have did. And that's why when I had Dogecoin and I got in early, I didn't sell at the top, which I should have, because I wasn't educated enough to do so. So it's just, yeah, it's like, it comes down to really, it comes down to, I don't know, it comes down to, I guess, understanding what you're doing and getting that education and really having that conviction. Because choosing winners is not the hard part. It's really, I think it's really just, it's just a matter of common sense, to be fair. But people don't, like, the thing is, common sense is still common, but people let fears, doubt, and other people change them from actually using their common sense. So I don't think that common sense has gone anywhere. I think that there's so many other factors blocking people's common sense. Like, someone feels more comfortable trusting a bunch of random numbers on the screen than they do realizing that this guy's calculating and adding up something that has not been released. We have no information on something, yet he has a chart full of numbers, and people don't find that suspicious whatsoever. It's just, like, that's the type of stuff, like, people doubt themselves so much they'll believe imaginary numbers before they actually just sit here and think, yo, will market caps of the entire world go up like they have historically? It's mind-blowing.
I haven't made many decisions. I haven't swung the bat many times. It's just when I do, the ball tends to go over the fence. This is because I'm not desperately running around trying to get 60 different stocks in my face to diversify. I'm instead sitting like a sniper with my scope, just waiting for an opportunity to get in the crosshairs, and when I find the right opportunity, and only the right opportunity, bang, I pull the trigger. Now, I know there's a few of you watching thinking, what an arrogant prick. You're going to be wrong one day, soon you're going to lose all your money, buddy. That's okay. Like I said, I'm just sharing my investment thinking, my investment reasoning, and my investment decisions. Make of it what you will. I'm not saying what you should do. I'm just telling you what I did do, why I did it, and what I continue to do in the future. In fact, here's my complete investing history. Between 2010 and 2015, every spare cent that I had went into Australian real estate. My strategy was quite simple. I had a three-pronged approach. 1, buy properties undervalued so I immediately make money and cannot lose money. If there's a train wreck, if there's a disaster, if I'm forced to sell, I will literally make a profit on day one because I bought undervalued. 2, buy properties in suburbs poised for strong capital growth, so over time the value of that real estate is likely to trend up. And 3 was to always buy property that had the ability for me to immediately add value, either through development, subdivision, etc., or through renovation, refurbishing, etc. And for what it's worth, I more than 10x my capital within 7 years in real estate. Leverage definitely helps. And for the record, I still own all of that real estate. But up to that point, between 2010 and 2015, 100% of my net worth was concentrated solely in Australian real estate. And I was comfortable with that because I knew what I was doing. I had a high level of conviction, I did my homework, I had a plan, I executed, and I got the results. And my real estate investing exploits didn't go unnoticed. In fact, this brings us to my next all-in moment. This time, I wasn't all in terms of my cash, but all in terms of my energy, time, and focus. I left my design career, started a finance business to help other investors replicate the same kind of results that I had with investing in Australian real estate, and did phenomenally well under the guidance of a great mentor. Plus, I worked my face off 80 to 100 hours a week for 3 years.
I mean, the story's interesting, but let's see the next clip.
2, how's your temperament? 3, your intellect. And 4, your goals. In other words, your past, your balls, your brain, and your target.
So
what are you investing in? What are the areas that you feel you know?
What I did in 2008 and 2009, I put everything into MLPs and MREITs, mortgage-backed securities, ones that I thought were the better companies, and I just piled in. And I also piled into Australian bonds because I thought the economy was good next to China. It was my way of playing China.
So you make one-way bets. This isn't portfolio balancing you're talking about.
No, all that asset management, diversification, that's for idiots, right? Because you can't diversify enough to know what you're doing. Right? I mean, I did my homework on Australia, right? I did my homework on the MREITs. I did my homework on MLPs, and their pricing had just gotten crushed.
To sum this one up, in my personal situation, I do have a diversified portfolio of investments. I mean, I've got a YouTube channel. I don't know how to value that, but it certainly holds some value. I've got a past business that's paying me out every month, paying for all my bills and my living expenses, practically an annuity. I also have a bunch of Tesla stock, and of course, I also have some real estate. Now, the reason
so that's pretty much it. This video was actually really good. I do want to hear about his story at some time, but yeah, we're not going to go over that in this video. But yeah, that being said, I mean, I think that there was a lot of great information here in this video, man. It was a lot of great information, and I think that this should change some perspectives, give people a little bit more confidence in themselves, and hopefully change the way some people go about their investment. Because while I don't give financial advice, it is very important that you learn how to give yourself financial advice and make the right financial decisions. Because that's the only way you're ever going to win. So yeah, I mean, that being said, I wouldn't say steer clear, but I'd be very cautious when people are bringing up all these fake numbers, when people are not really showing conviction, the same convictions towards an investment and things like this. Like, all this stuff is indicators that someone isn't really sure themselves. I mean, you may want to steer clear of someone who's overly sure, but I mean, at least when someone's overly sure and I can continue to back up the things that I say and the thought process and the logic behind it, I mean, that's a hell of a lot better than that just saying it's going to hit $10. I just believe it. Like, no, if someone asks me how I believe that it's going to hit that, I've told it many times. I can tell it many times more. It's just, it makes sense. It's very logical. But that being said, it's up to you, the route that you take as an investor. Like, no one can do the investing for you. No one can tell you what to believe. You have to believe that on your own. That being said, be sure to drop that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're new, turn on notifications so you stay updated, and yeah, I'll catch you all on the next one. Peace out, y'all.